Hello everyone, hello Mr. Elephant here. As you know, Dr. Aini is being recreated. So it is just us today, if you don't mind. In the news, the senator from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, advocated for an amendment that will lower the Secretary of Public Transportation, Pete Buttigieg's salary to $1. And guess what, viewers? Ha ha ha, the House approved. Ha 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 ha. Now that truly is one hell of a damn pay cut. I must agree with the senator 100%, given everything that has occurred with this transportation secretary. Hell, when this shitty man cub was appointed, the damn job, not even a year and a half into it, this foolish man cub went on vacation by taking. And you aren't going to believe this, but he went on bloody hell maternity leave. That's right, my dear ladies. Both he and his husband went on maternity leave once, and it was during his maternity taking ass that the country went to shit. Suddenly, we had a massive supply shortage. Air travel was halted. Cable news tried to cover for the transportation secretary as they aired a story about these two contracted FAA employees who supposedly tried to enter some corrupt program into the computer programming system that then seemed to cause the air traffic system to go down. Here, take a look.
Tonight, NBC News has learned that preliminary information suggests at least one, perhaps two contract employees may have caused a computer failure that grounded thousands of flights early Wednesday. Government sources say the contractors were among the 8 who had access to the FAA's NOTAM computer system and apparently edited a file, causing it to become corrupted. It's not clear if it was out of malice or if it was a case of human error. Investigators only determined what happened after reviewing computer login records. The NOTAM system itself is running on 30-year-old software, not due to be replaced for another 6 years. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. It seems hard to believe that a single person could put the FAA in the position where they had to literally hit the pause button on all domestic takeoffs.
That is exactly what I am asking FAA to review and getting an explanation about. We need to make sure that there are enough safeguards built into the system that this level of disruption can't happen because of an individual person's decision or action or mistake.
Yesterday's failure led to cascading delays and cancellations that affected hundreds of thousands of passengers.
It is kind of alarming that the whole system was affected.
This morning, the FAA tweeted operations are back to normal. No unusual delays or cancellations. While bad weather and yesterday's cleanup did lead to some delays, there were less than a third of Wednesday's meltdown. Can you assure the American traveling public that we will not have a repeat of what happened on Wednesday morning?
Well, that's exactly what I have directed, and I will say that the steps have been taken to make sure that the sequence of events that happened Wednesday morning couldn't happen again.
And Tom with me now. And Tom, the contractor or contractors, do they still have access to the system?
They do not, and we are told that the FAA is taking increased security steps to ensure this doesn't happen again, including upgrading their protocols, their cybersecurity computer protocols, to ensure that they're following best practices so that you don't introduce corrupted software.
All right, Tom, thanks very much.
It is hard to believe because the story was such bullshit. But funny enough, the names and their photos were never shown. There was no report of the government ever filing any charges against these two employees, and then slowly the story just went away. If you were to ask anyone about it, they would look at you and say, who? What are you even talking about? We're going to show a clip from YouTuber Black, Conservative 34. He has a very good clip showing Miss Green rip on Mr. Pete Buttigieg. We will add a link to this clip and to Black Conservative 24's channel.
The amendment uses the Holman Rule to reduce the salary of Secretary Pete Buttigieg to $1. Pete Buttigieg has failed to serve the American people as the Secretary of Transportation. He has been busy calling roads racist, enforcing equity action plans, and implementing climate change initiatives, rather than strengthening our nation's transportation and infrastructure systems and responding to emergencies like the train derailment in East Palestine. He stated, "There is racism physically built into some of our highways. Every transportation decision is inherently, in many ways, a decision about equity." I would argue people driving on dirt roads every single day in rural America may feel that way, But our Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, doesn't care about Americans in rural America. He's more interested in declaring that roads are built on skin color and racism. He also stated, ensuring equity and accessibility for every member of the traveling public is one of the Department of Transportation's highest priorities. Again, I'll point to rural America. In the same month he was sworn in, his department introduced racial equities and barriers to opportunities as a consideration for awarding discretionary grants, as if that's how funds should be awarded. In June 2022, he launched a $1 billion pilot program aimed at helping reconnect cities and neighborhoods racially segregated or divided by road projects. Under this program, over $100 million was awarded to tear down and rebuild a freeway in Detroit because it was considered racially divisive. Taxpayer dollars are being used to cover 80% of the project's funds. He has also intentionally tried to deceive the American people, as shown when a video surfaced of him faking a bike ride to a White House cabinet meeting. The video showed Secretary Buttigieg driving to the White House, but stopping in just enough time for his security detail to unload his bike from the back of the gas-guzzling SUV. He then rode his bike for the cameras to the White House as if he had been riding it all along. What a hypocrite. What a liar. Deserving an taxpayer-funded paycheck is about job performance, not about personalities or identity politics. And let's all recall that Pete Buttigieg was formerly a mayor and was well known as Pothole Pete for not repairing all the potholes in the roads in the town that he served. So I assure you, this is about defunding his paycheck to $1, which I think is $1 too high, for a Secretary of Transportation that is failing the American people when it comes to transportation. While implementing his tyrannical climate agenda through his office and preaching for the government to curb carbon emissions, Pete Buttigieg has reportedly taken at least 18 taxpayer-funded flights on private jets managed by the FAA. One of these flights was taken to receive an award from the Canadian Gay Rights Organization for advancing LGBTQ rights. American taxpayers don't want to pay for Pete Buttigieg to get awards for the way people have sex. That's not what the Secretary of Transportation should be doing. These fraudulent actions of Secretary Buttigieg illustrate that he is not to be trusted in leading our Department of Transportation. While Secretary Buttigieg was taking taxpayer-funded carbon-emitting private jets to receive LGBTQ awards, he failed to serve the Americans in East Palestine, who were devastated by the train derailment and chemical spill earlier this year. In response to why he hadn't visited the community, he stated that he would visit when the time is right. It turns out the time was only right after President Trump visited, brought thousands of bottles of water, and pressured Secretary Buttigieg into visiting, and maybe doing his job. It took our Secretary of Transportation almost 3 weeks to visit after this unbelievable toxic catastrophe. Furthermore, under his watch as Secretary, the FAA was forced to order a ground stop for all air traffic in the U.S. due to a system outage. This was the first time in history the NOTAM system has ever failed, and it was the first time since 9/11.
Thank you, viewer, for stopping by. We wish you well. Till next time, everyone. Goodbye.